Welcome back to Everyday Ethics, everybody, and welcome back to my savior, Persephone. Thank goodness she's here. We have a continuation of our romance and sex discussion, and I'm sure she's ready for that. So, Persephone, without further ado, take it away.
I'm trying to remember what we discussed last week. I'm actually reading the transcript of what we discussed last week because there's a couple of things. Hi, Catherine. So, um, the one thing that we spoke about last week that I think needs a bit more discussion is we both sort of agreed that having a high body count, as the kids call it these days, can be a sign of like low self-worth. What do you think? Do you want to go into more detail on that? Like
About my
why
body count? What are we getting at?
no, why it could be a sign of low self-worth if you're sleeping around? Because I know that that's.
Sure, we can get into it.
I'm gonna cough. You talk.
Okay, so we're going to talk about body counts. And when Persephone comes on, she's going to tell us all about hers. She's going to give us a detailed history, and then we're going to explain whether or not this entails low self esteem or not. Okay, no, seriously. So let me just speak for myself, Persephone, right? So I started having sex when I was 13. And there were older kids in the neighborhood, and I just remember them talking about how many girls that they had been with. And I remember thinking that, oh, okay, I want to do that. I want to accumulate numbers. I was insecure, and I thought that that was a way to sort of gain acceptance, to impress other people. So that was one part of it. There's also the part of it where you're trying to gain self worth, as if the fact that somebody's willing to have sex with you is a gain of self worth. Like this person's attracted to me. This person's willing to do this with me. Therefore, I am worthy of the sex. There's also the idea that sex is an intimate endeavor,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, let's just think in terms of regular friendship, right? If you are promiscuous with your friendship and you will just give it to anybody and you will just hang around with anybody, regardless of standards, principles, values, whatever, that's a sign of low self esteem. Why are you so willing to give yourself away to people who are not of high worth? So now you think about it in terms of if you're sleeping around, you're going around and having sex with a variety of people regardless of their character. Assuming that's what we're talking about when we're talking about promiscuity, is that there's not a sense of judgment, not an analysis or an evaluation of the person with whom you're having sex with. And so you're doing this, and what is that saying about yourself, that you're willing to just give your body and your intimacy to a person who you don't know or whom you don't appreciate? So now, let me give an example real quickly of even as an adult. So when Melissa died, my girlfriend Melissa, I said I don't ever want to have another girlfriend as long as I live. But I do want to have sex because, well, sex is fun. So anyway, I was looking around for like a friend with benefits type situation. So I met, a woman online and we discussed it. And I thought, I'm thinking like I'm still 19, like I can just go do this and, it'll be fine. And, we went and we hooked up. And the next day, I just thought to myself, maybe even on the ride home, like, this is not for me. I can't do this. Like, I don't even know this lady. You know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't. It's just not in me to be that person any longer that can do that. Now, well, that doesn't matter. I'm not getting into that. But I just realized that that's not something that I'm interested in. And I can only think that it's because I just can't give myself to somebody that it doesn't that I don't know, that doesn't share my values, doesn't share my interest, isn't of good character. So I think that all those things that I've talked about are indicators that promiscuity is a sign of poor self-esteem.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's a direct correlation between like I've slept with 20 people and I have like low
No,
self-esteem.
no, no, no. There's no number like that. I'm just saying
No.
if somebody is promiscuous, like you're going to bars every weekend or every night and just hooking up with random people, that's a sign.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I wasn't even saying that there is, but a lot of people do think, if you've slept with 5 people, you've slept with 10 people, then you're a slut. Um, and
I'm
the thing is,
screwed.
if the thing is, if you've had sex with 10 people and you did that because you had a genuine relationship with them and you know, had sex with them for good reason, then that's fine. If you slept with them because you wanted the ego boost or because you were whatever, then that's a sign of you need to readjust your priorities.
Now the whole I hate even the term body count. It's so ridiculous.
That's terrible, eh?
Yeah. But what it is a sign of that people are speaking of that is that they're minimizing the importance of sex, the intimacy, the emotional connection that sex entails. When you're just reducing sexual partners to a body, like it's a corpse out there.
Ew.
Hey, listen, I don't know what you're into, but listen, anyways, back to the basics. What the hell was I gonna say? Now I don't even remember. I'm all over the place. Oh, let's get back to the thing. So suppose, but that doesn't mean that a person can't change. So suppose that you meet a woman and this woman has had sex with 50 guys in her life, but she's changed who she is now. Then I would say, well, then what difference does it really make? Now we talked about this the other day, and I will say this: I left this out of the discussion when it was asked why guys care if a woman has had sex with multiple partners. And here's the problem. I know, for instance, as a teenager, what my thinking process is in regards to girls. When I'm going out to have sex, I know how I'm thinking of them. I know that it's not good, right? That my opinion of them isn't good. That the conquest is paramount. It's not. It has nothing to do with this person. And so the idea that another guy is thinking that way about somebody I care about or thought that way about someone I care about is talking about somebody I care about with his male friends the way I've talked about girls with my male friends, that is part of the equation.
Don't you think that's fucked up though? You don't want someone to talk about someone that you care about the way that you've spoken about
Yeah, I think it's
people
messed up.
before.
I'm just giving you an explanation. I'm not saying it's okay. The bottom line is I should have never been engaged in the conduct of discussing such things or putting girls down or reducing girls to sexual objects that are nothing else but there for my screwing. But nonetheless, as a guy, I knew and know that that's how other guys, many of them, think. And nobody wants to think of their loved one as being thought of in that way.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I want super chats and super stickers. I'm just going to throw that in.
I would also like those. I would also love people to go to thecapitalistcorner.org and go and buy merch.
Merch. Go buy
Merch.
merch.
Um, so I don't have any like actual basis for this. I think that because men historically have been allowed to sleep around, right? And then there was this whole empowerment movement where it's like, well, women should be free to do the same thing. And no one ever stopped to ask, should men have been doing that in the first place? Like, yeah, men fuck around. And then women were like, well, we should be able to do that too. And it's like, well, I mean, sure, but also, should you really be doing that? Should you really be sleeping around? Instead of
No,
saying, well, maybe none of us should just be fucking every person we come across, maybe there should be more discernment.
There should be more discernment. And, by the way, we also didn't talk about the fact that you're putting yourself at risk, if you're doing this. Even if you're using protection, you still could be out there bringing home crabs and herpes and things of that nature. So, that's a risk. I mean, I don't want that.
No, no one wants that. Also, thank you, Danny. Can I put that on a t-shirt? Body count don't matter. That's funny.
Danny, thank you for the $1.99.
Akira says that he left a comment on the other video, which I didn't check.
All right,
I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna go.
I'm
gonna
gonna
go
do it.
look.
I'll find it. You think of something to say.
Yeah. A lot of people do use sex as like external validation. You know, they they want to think that they're attractive and love listening to
I
myself
hit the wrong
talk.
thing. This is too long. I'm not reading this whole thing.
That's so rude.
No, okay, I'll read it. Fine. Kira Felix writes about Charles too. He did have a girlfriend for a while. She was an objectivist. They went to Ocon together. He looked different. He wasn't fat back then. No fat shaming.
No,
But
that's mean.
by the end of their relationship, he was more overweight than he is now. I remember he had a conversation with Rucka about sex, and he said something similar to Michael. Apparently, he hasn't gotten over her girlfriend, and it leads me to think that the reason is he hasn't gotten into another relationship. But to be honest, what women would want to get in a relationship with someone like him, I hate to disagree with Persephone, but Andrew Tate and what you know is the Manosphere is not the actual Manosphere. It's not really a pipeline. It's a sewer line. A lot of people in the real Manosphere recommend Ayn Rand's books, and they even use Dagny Taggart as the ultimate example of a high-value woman. There's a split. Some use hypergamy
I
to
hate that
mean,
word.
yeah, me too, to mean something good, while others use it as a pejorative. The split made it so that the good guys who were talking about productivity, social skills, self-esteem, values, and whatnot got lumped together with Andrew Tate's of the world. You can blame the left for that because the pushback from the actual misogynist is just the cashing in the culture. The reason there's a lot of self-described incels is in part because taking the black pill is not as demonized by the culture as taking the red pill. I hate both of those sayings.
So do I.
Nikos is very knowledgeable in this topic. He wrote a book about the Manosphere. I think you're probably wrong on this, Akira, and I don't know. I'm going to say why, because I think that all of these things are probably referred to as the Manosphere, and to just say it's only the one that you like, which is what it sounds like. I might be wrong, of course,
That's what it sounds like to me
but
as
that's
well.
what it sounds like, and I don't know what the basis is to. Like, if I look up Manosphere right now, I'm going to guess Andrew Tate comes up.
Yeah. So, what is his name? Louis, someone or other.
Louis?
Made, yeah, made a or Lewis. He made a documentary called Inside the Manosphere, where he interviewed a couple of people, I think, but one of the main ones that he interviewed was Myron Gaines,
Oh,
and
he's
like
such a dick.
so he interviewed Myron Gaines, and it was so funny to me because Myron's on by himself and he's talking, out his ass about, he's trying to put on this like manly brr, and then his girlfriend came out, and as soon as his girlfriend came out, the demeanor shifted like this. And it was like he would say something, and then his girlfriend would look at him and he would quickly backpedal. So here's this guy that's making bank, like talking about how he's so alpha and he's gonna sleep around, he's gonna have like multiple partners, and he's making money, like telling people that this is who he is and they must treat their woman like this. But then the second you see his actual girlfriend and how he treats his actual girlfriend and how his girlfriend basically has him on a leash, and it's like, why does anybody listen to these people? Because it's so obviously bullshit.
So, the Enchantador says that he runs his house. He's the boss. And
Until his wife comes home.
I wasn't going to bring that into the equation.
Well, I'm going to, because that's generally how it works, you know. My dad always used to say, "I'm the boss of this house." My wife said I'm allowed to say so.
So the Manosphere, according to what I just looked up, and granted, it's a quick lookup, is it encompasses a lot of things. It says it spans a wide spectrum from relatively benign self improvement content to explicitly misogynistic or extremist movements, the major currents within it, and then it gets into it, a variety of things that these people stand for.
So the on Friday I spoke about the pipeline, right, of what happens. People start listening to some of these self-improvement podcasts, and then just like slippery slope, they just end up, listening to people like Myron Gaines and thinking that Myron is actually who he says he is, or looking at Andrew Tate and thinking that he's a role model.
I,
And
see,
it
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, 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 you say what you wanted to
No,
say.
I just to me that for somebody to look to those, like you were talking about self esteem, somebody looks at these two assholes and they're like, yeah, they've got it. Like you've already got self esteem in the toilet at that point. If you don't see these two guys and realize what they are immediately, just to make it political, because I don't care. It's like the people who think that Donald Trump is some type of an alpha male and not the insecure little bitch that he really is. That's what it reminds me of. If you can't see through this pseudo tough guy nonsense, then that's a self esteem issue. And what they're getting is a sense of pseudo self esteem. The oh yeah, it's women, they're the problem. I don't know if you ever listened to. There's Andrew Wilson, jerk off. He's another one. They're with his fake Christianity garbage. But yeah, like if you are looking to these guys for guidance, something's wrong off the muscle.
See,
And I
the
did take Danny to an excellent sandwich shop yesterday.
well, that's amazing. I had ramen yesterday. It was great.
Do you know how popular ramen noodles are in prison?
Yeah, but like the packet ones.
Well, yeah, they're not. You're not going out to a nice restaurant.
Well, yeah, obviously, but like I didn't have like packet ramen. I
No,
would
I'm
have
just
to.
telling you, it's packaged ramen in prison. It's big.
It's so in
It's the
Brooklyn Nine
base of so much food.
in Brooklyn Nine, there's like a whole episode about how they're in prison and how the that like ramen noodles is like currency. It was very weird, and it's interesting to know that that's true because you wouldn't think so. Didn't it used to be cigarettes?
You're not allowed to smoke in Connecticut prisons. I don't know
Yeah,
about other prisons, but
you're
my
not allowed
guess
to.
is you
You're not allowed
probably.
to smoke anywhere anymore. Um, ramen noodles and cigarettes. Oh, the pipeline. The pipeline, this like alpha male manosphere pipeline thing, right? It's the reason I said it's so insidious is because I think for a lot of guys, it starts off in a relatively like benign place, right? It starts off in a place where it's okay. It starts off with like, I want to I want to marry a woman who hasn't slept around, or like I'm tired of being told that masculinity is toxic. I just want to be the provider. And it starts off there, and then it you social media algorithms are built in such a way that they will continue to feed you content that you like and you interact with, obviously. And in places like TikTok, that is on it's like that with all of the platforms, but on TikTok it's even worse. On TikTok, your algorithm is very sensitive. So if you like one video, you're going to start seeing a lot more videos that are within that same thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like that everywhere, but TikTok is intense. And so they'll see a video of some like really benign dude saying like, things like masculinity in itself isn't toxic. No, no, no. They'll like that video, and all of a sudden they'll start seeing more and more podcasters talking about these things. And it always starts so benign and then it just ramps up. And because it's like the frog in the boiling water, right? It starts off fine and then it just starts to get more and more insane. Genuinely, like some of the videos that I've seen of these guys talking, I'm like, what went wrong? What went wrong in your life that this is the way you think? And if you see some of the spaces that some of these dudes occupy and the things that they say and the way that they talk, you need to be on, like, you need to be on a watch list.
So the thing is there's a payoff for these guys to do that, to put on a show. It's impossible for us to know if they're really like that or if it's just to get clicks and likes and all that stuff. But so I'm just, a little while ago, I saw this reel with Patrick Bet David. I've never watched even one of his shows, but I see his clips, occasionally. I know who he is. And somebody from his organization debated Dave Smith last week or so, and I've seen this as all over social media. They're making fun of him. As Dave Smith is calling Ben Shapiro basically a coward because he won't debate him, but yet Dave won't debate me. So, well, whatever. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, so this guy, I guess, lost this debate to Dave. And Patrick Bet David gives him a dressing down on air. And the thing that I found fascinating about it was part of it was really good because the guy is like, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. And so he says, well, look, you have to care. You're representing me. You're representing my organization. When you go on and debate somebody, you need to be prepared, because you're representing me. I agree with that. But then he also got into the market and what the market wants. And the market is speaking. And the market is saying that. As if because people are saying it, that's what's valid. And the thing is, look, I get it. I mean, when you're in a business, you're there to make a profit, whether it be this, that, whatever. But there's so many people that will just say anything because they know it gets them clicks. Like you see this guy, Gunther Eagleman, or this other jerk, Cat Turd. They've literally got posts all over the place from like last year saying no more wars, no new wars. Yeah, Trump, no wars. And if Kamala got elected, it would have been a war with Iran. And now they're like, yeah, Trump, war with Iran. It's great. They just don't care. There's
No.
no integrity. And then they spout Jesus. Every fifth word is Jesus. They just don't give a shit. They're there to make money. They know that there's people out there. P.T. Barnum comes to mind. There's a sucker born every minute. And if
Yeah.
people fall for that, what can you do? I know one thing. I won't do it. A prominent, oh my God, yes, we read your comment, Akira. He wasn't even here for all that whole discussion. So a prominent podcaster I was talking to one day, and we were talking. He's like, "Oh, but you should do this, and you should." And I said, "No, I'm not interested in that. I'm just not." And why not? I said, "Because my integrity means more to me than views." And he said to me, "Yeah, but you could build the audience first and then worry about your integrity." And I'm like, "Dude, the type of audience I'm gonna build by doing what you're suggesting is not the audience that I want. I want an audience of people that are thoughtful, that care about evidence, that care about reason, that care about personal growth, about being better people, not people that just want to hear bullshit, not people who want to hear how wonderful Trump is and how everything that Trump touches turns to gold, or about how Robin Heron says, I guess I'll leave that. Or about how women are really the problem and men need to take control. Like, I'm not into that. Like, Dave Smith is out there praising lying Tucker Carlson, the guy who says that demons attacked him in his sleep. And Dave's like, Tucker Carlson, the hero. Why is he a hero, Dave? Because you can go on his show and get 1 million views? Right? That's why you're calling him a hero. Because the guy's not, unless Dave is just a moron.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So, that is a big part of the problem, in my view, Persephone, is that there's a market for this stuff, this manosphere garbage, that there's people out there that want to hear that it caters to. It's so ridiculous.
The thing is, there's yes, there is a market, and the people who are peddling this content, they are a problem.
Of
But
course.
the people who fall victim to this type of content,
No.
right?
No, I would not allow that word. No
Okay, the
way.
people who fall into this pipeline.
The people who are attracted to it and buy it.
Okay, yes, that's fine. I will accept that phrasing. The reason I don't want to be too harsh is because if you look at the pipeline from start to finish, right, then you for some people they are experiencing genuine, like they're experiencing genuine loneliness or social isolation for whatever reason, right? They're experiencing genuine problems. They are going about fixing those problems in the wrong way. So they're because they have and it usually starts young, right? It starts when they're like 14, 15, 16, 17. They frontal lobe is not developed properly, right?
Oh
They're
no.
no, it is true. It's not.
Yeah,
Are
I
you talking
I
about
know.
Akira?
No, 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 no,
Are
no.
you talking about me?
No, no. It's just no. It's true, but it's all so. We often hear this argument in relation to criminal justice that
Mm,
that the human brain is not fully developed, especially the prefrontal cortex, the executive functioning in the brain is not fully developed. This is the moral decision making part of the brain. It's not fully developed until you're 25 years old. That's true.
yeah.
It's also not, but it's not true that at 14, 15, 16 it's completely undeveloped.
Oh no.
Right?
I
No,
mean,
but that is how this thing gets screwy, right?
oh
So
yeah.
I
Okay.
agree with you. If you're talking about 14-year-olds, I'm going to say yes. That I wouldn't disagree that these kids are victims in that sense. Yes, but I'm talking about the adults that are into this stuff.
Yeah, no. But I'm talking specifically about the pipeline when it starts when a kid is fairly young, right? And they are experiencing some kind of genuine need, right? They are socially isolated or they're lonely or whatever. They fall into this pipeline. Because it makes them feel less alone. It gives them a sense of like false value. And it's not right, but it's just why I don't want to be too harsh and go well they're fuck ups from the get go. Um, but it's that is why it's so important to have an actual set of values and to like not question everything you see, but yeah, like to question what you see and make sure that it lines up with an actual set of values that are based in reality, so that when you start seeing crap like this that you don't fall into these stupid pipelines. And there's a bunch of them, right? There's the alt-right pipeline, there's the Manosphere pipeline, there's the fucking crunchy pipeline, which I know a lot of people also fall into because they need some sort of, you know, they don't they have a genuine fear, they have
What
a
the hell is the
genuine.
crunchy pipeline?
Oh God. The crunchy pipeline is when you do you know what it means to be crunchy? Mark's crunchy. Okay. So being crunchy means like a granola mom. That's where it comes from. The moms who don't want to give their kids any sort of anything processed, right? All chemicals are bad, right? Everything has to be natural. No pesticides, no red dye, like red 40 will give you cancer,
All
you
right, I
know.
want everything. I want all the chemicals.
So
So
but so that also starts with a genuine like fear, right? You don't want to consume anything that is unhealthy, and you start consuming content that starts telling you that all food is going to give you cancer. And you start off with a genuine, like you start off in a benign place, like, hey, maybe like red dye 40 like can cause like not autism, can exacerbate the symptoms of ADHD in children. And then you end up where like you won't like live in a neighborhood that has air conditioning because of reasons. So there's all these pipelines, and if you're not careful about the way you think about things and the type of content that you consume and whether or not you're fucking fact checking things, then it's so easy to fall victim to these things.
All right, so let's back up now to the beginning where you asked about sexual partners and low self esteem. And I would say that yes, being promiscuous is a very good indicator of a deficit of self esteem. So is being attracted to these types of, manosphere guys, the ones that you're talking about. So the solution is for people to take the initiative to learn, to grow, to build themselves, to become better people, to build their self esteem. That's not easy, it's difficult. But what is the alternative? Feeling like shit about yourself, banging people that you shouldn't be banging, taking advice from Myron Gaines. I mean, there's a better way, and that way is reason, reality, character, integrity. That's what needs to be pursued. And you know where people can find out about that type of stuff? Right here on Everyday Ethics.
Absolutely.
All right, audience. Thank you so much for being here today. We will be back tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. By the way, please go to the YouTube channel, leave comments, share the show, subscribe if you haven't done so already. But also let us know if there's any topics that you want to see us discuss, and we will consider it. Thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow.